Hello and welcome to our Street Soccer United podcast with me, Keith Mabbott, founder CEO of the Street Soccer Foundation. On today's show, I am so pleased to be speaking with an amazing man, Raj Day, MBE, founder and CEO of Learnably. Raj, thank you so much for taking part in our Street Soccer United podcast. Welcome to the show. I'll dive straight in with question one, as I normally do with everyone. You founded Student Voice UK in 2003 and ran it for 10 years. How did this come about and why was this important for you to establish?
Hi, Keith. It's really great to join you today. You're correct. I started my first venture when I was 17 called Student Voice, and it was designed to give school students a voice in their education. I recognised that as the customers of education system, the parents, teachers, governors, head teachers all had a voice and a body to represent their views, but the end user, the students, never really got asked about their opinions or were represented either at a local, national or international level. But I found out that most countries in Europe did have similar organisations. So I approached Unlimited, which is the Foundation for Social Entrepreneurs, who gave me an initial grant of £5,000 to kickstart the idea. And I was 17 at the time, still at school, doing my A-levels, and the press picked up on the concept and the Times Education Supplement wrote about it, and the whole concept really snowballed. But it was really that first grant that I received from Unlimited that got me started on this journey as a social entrepreneur.
So it was a small £5,000 grant from Unlimited that got you moving with your idea. Fantastic. And then progressing with this obvious entrepreneurial streak within you, by 2011, you went on to co-found Startup Britain. How did you become involved and how did you get it all started?
Startup Britain really came about from hearing about Startup America, which had launched 3 months before by President Obama. Myself and a few other entrepreneurs were discussing this concept as a great initiative to promote entrepreneurship nationwide. And so I managed to meet Lord Young, who was the government's enterprise advisor at the time, who was saying that actually at Downing Street, the government were discussing doing something similar, but they were looking for it to be led by entrepreneurs and for entrepreneurs. So myself and 5 other entrepreneurs came together, and with the support of government and the Prime Minister and various senior ministers, we had their backing, but with no financial support. So it was on us really to go find corporate sponsors and partners to really make this happen. And the whole campaign came together really quickly within a period, I would say, of 4 to 6 weeks from having the first conversations to actually launching it. So it was a real entrepreneurial endeavour in its own right, and it was as a result of having the governmental support and spotlight shone upon this initiative, as well as corporate backers and the fellow entrepreneurs who really kickstarted this national campaign.
So you took an idea from Barack Obama, amazing, went on and then met Lord Young, and with support of government launched Startup Britain within 4 to 6 weeks. Just incredible. And now you've gone on to be involved with the World Economic Forum as the youngest ever global leader they've appointed. How on earth did this happen for you, and what do you actually do in the role?
The World Economic Forum is probably most well known for its annual convening at Davos, usually in January every year, where it brings together ministers, business people, philanthropists and media, and to discuss how we can solve pressing issues in the world. And they have a community called the Young Global Leaders, where they bring together around 100 people every year who are aged 40 or under, who are seen as leaders in their own field. So back in 2012, I was selected as one of these Young Global Leaders. And so we are part of a community, a global community of change makers, I would say. There are government politicians in there are CEOs of major corporations, there are social entrepreneurs, artists, sports people, people that work in charity and third sector. So it's a brilliant organisation to really convene people who are working to improve the state of the world and to look at how you can collaborate with each other to fix major social, political and economic challenges.
So there you are, Raj. You are a change maker, aiming to improve the state of the world and focused on collaborations to fix major challenges. Just Absolutely brilliant. But rolling it back just for a moment, I want to go back to this entrepreneurial spirit of yours. And you and I first came into touch when you were actively involved in running internships. I think you formed it back in 2005. Do you still have much to do with the business, and how does it help young people?
So internships.com started when I was at university. So I used to run the Entrepreneur Society at Oxford, and I found myself being approached by startups and small businesses who wanted to attract students and graduates to come work with them, but they didn't have the brands of the big multinational corporates to come on campus and do the so-called milk round. And so it started as a very simple listing site just for Oxford students to connect to these companies, because I thought to myself that whilst aspiring bankers, lawyers and accountants all did internships, what can an aspiring entrepreneur do? Well, other than start up your own business, the best way to learn about enterprise is to work in a startup or a small company. But how are you going to find these businesses? So it started whilst I was at university. It officially launched soon after I graduated in 2009. And over the years, we've worked with over 7,000 companies to help them find great interns and graduates. I've actually taken a step back from that as I decided to focus my attention on the world of lifelong learning and launched Learnably, but also because I recognize that the culture around working in startups and for startups has changed significantly over the last 10, 15 years. So I felt that really my work was done in that arena. It was time to move on to the next big challenge, which is around how you upskill, reskill people and ensure that they're prepared for the future of work.
I love internships. And you mentioned just there that you've now stepped back to have more of a focus on lifelong learning, upskilling people for the future world of work, doing so by setting up Learnably, a professional development platform. Tell us more about this, why you did it, what it offers, and the benefits of the platform.
So I launched Learnably after working on internships and helping thousands of startups and scale-ups recruit great talent. I then thought to myself, how do you ensure that you retain this talent? And also, in order to attract great people, increasingly people want to know, how are you going to help develop me? What are you going to do for me to enhance my personal and professional skills? But as a small business or a scale up, often you don't have the resources or the learning and development teams or HR function to really support. And so how do you even know what a great training courses for marketing or sales or product? The world is changing so quickly, it's really hard to have any sense of quality control. And so that's where Learnably comes in. We're really designed to empower the employee to own their own development journey. And we do that by working with employers to give their employees a personal learning allowance. So this can range from a few £100s to a few £1,000s for them to spend on any form of learning that they see best in the way that they like to learn. So that might be online, that might be coaching, courses, conferences, books, free content with podcasts, articles and videos. It's tailored to really what you want to learn and how you like to learn. And so we see really high levels of engagement because it really meets the needs of the employees. And we work with some amazing clients such as Go Cardless or Judeal or Free Trade and lots of kind of fintech, fast-growing companies as well as creative agencies, and really trying to shake up the way learning and development operates.
Own your own development journey, what you want to learn and how. Absolutely superb advice. I'd hugely recommend everyone to look at Learnably. We'll put a link up with the interview. Now the penultimate question. It's fair to say that you make things happen, Raj, and you know you're an inspiration to me as someone I very much look up to. Who is it that inspires you though and drives you to be the person that you are?
It's very kind of you, Keith, to say that. I'd say that my parents are a big inspiration. So when my dad first came here to the country, he came with pretty much nothing. He's a GP, and he was brought over when there was a big drive to bring in doctors from India for the NHS, and he set up his own GP practice. He wouldn't say that he's an entrepreneur as such, but in effect, he had to create something from nothing. And I've had a very supportive family. My parents have always supported anything that I want to do and really believed in me. So I think that's been the ultimate drive, and ultimately to want to do something that's positive and make a difference and impact in society. So all of my ventures, as you'll notice, have a strong social benefit. So whether that be student voice for school kids to give them a voice in their education, whether that be with internships to give university students and graduates an opportunity to work in startups, or for Startup Britain, and now with Learnably, there's a big social element in what I do. So I think that really is a driver for me to want to make a positive difference in society. And having a really strong family support, including my sister as well, has really helped me on that journey.
So your parents being your biggest inspiration, and you mentioned the NHS there, and what an amazing job the NHS are obviously doing it for us right now. A huge heartfelt thank you from us and on behalf of the whole country. Just incredible. Creating something from nothing with family support and a want to make a difference to society. Brilliant drivers there, Raj. Thank you for sharing that. Finally, to wrap today's interview, and it's been just fantastic, really lovely speaking with you. The final question we always ask is, what's the best advice you've ever been given and by who?
I'd say one of the best pieces of advice was something that my dad says quite a lot to me, which is, it's what you achieve at the end of the day that matters. And what's interesting about that phrase is that he would say that when things go well. So if something's gone really well, he would say, yeah, well done, but it's what you achieve at the end of the day that matters. And that, in a way, I would take it as, okay, there's still a lot more for me to do and for me to achieve, and don't get complacent, don't get big-headed. But at the same time, if things don't go to plan, the same phrase applies. It's what you achieve at the end of the day. So I think it's a recognition that actually the journey of being an entrepreneur, journey of life, has ups and downs. Everything you face is an opportunity to learn, it's an opportunity to grow, and as long as you have the right intentions and put your all into it, you really just need to focus on keeping going. And the worst that will happen is, yes, it may not go to plan, but you're going to learn a lot in that process. So keep going, keep persevering. Don't be afraid of uncertainty. You need to really embrace uncertainty as an entrepreneur, and as long as you're doing something that makes you fulfilled and makes a positive difference, then keep at it.
Just fantastic. Brilliant advice here at the end of what has been a wonderful discussion. It's what you achieve at the end of the day, a reference to the fact that we are all on this journey of life, and within that journey it will have ups and downs, but there's always an opportunity to learn and grow throughout. It's even more poignant advice in this current climate. So my huge thanks again to Raj for taking part in our Street Soccer United podcast show today. You've listened to Rajiv Dey, MBE, founder and CEO of Learnably and global advisor to the World Economic Forum. Be sure to tune in again tomorrow for our next podcast interview.
Right.